Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. We got a really important show coming up for the next 2 weeks, so I urge you, if you're listening, if you're watching today, just stay with us. We have back Dennis Lowe, the commander of the Major Crimes Unit, was with us a couple months ago.
Yes, sir.
And everything going good with the Major Crimes Unit?
It's going very well, very well. It's better than I had even anticipated. It's been wonderful in terms of the reaction from the community and from the participating agencies and how they're supporting the transition from the previous commander, and we're doing some really good work there.
Yeah, just Reader's Digest version of what the Major Crimes Unit is doing. What was your responsibilities?
Yeah, the Major Crimes Unit is a multi-jurisdictional drug task force that encompasses and serves Fairfield County, Hocking County, and Athens County, and we have 21 officers from all of the participating agencies, which includes obviously your office, the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, Hocking and Athens County Sheriff's Offices, Lancaster Police Department, Pickerington Police Department, Nelsonville Police Department, Athens, Logan, the Ohio University Police Department. And those officers work collaboratively to investigate folks that are trafficking drugs in those three counties. And unfortunately, drugs are an issue in today's society, and we have some problems in our communities, but we're working very hard to address those issues. And it's kind of a twofold approach in that we have long-term investigators working mid and upper level traffickers, and we also have officers who are dedicated to complaints and issues that are impacting various parts of those communities through more directed patrol activities.
Great, and they do a terrific job.
Unbelievable.
Now, one of the things coming up during the November 3rd election is going to be Issue 3,
yes,
which is the legalization of recreational marijuana, along with marijuana for medical purposes. And, prior to the show, you called, and because there's probably not many people in the state of Ohio that have been in the front line of enforcing drug violations, drug couriers, you name it, than you in the past 28 plus years. So you called and said that there's probably some information that needs to get out there. So tell us a little bit, first of all, so everyone understands, what is Proposition 3?
Well, and thank you for allowing me to come here today and share this forum with you and your viewers. I think it's important that people, before they go to the ballot box in November, that they try to get as much information as possible, and that information is factual based. So Issue 3 is a ballot initiative that was proposed here in the state of Ohio that would essentially amend our Constitution to allow for the use of recreational and medicinal marijuana here in the state of Ohio. And that marijuana would be produced by essentially 10 growers. Those folks have already been selected prior to this initiative being proposed here in the state. They have received huge financial backing. And this ballot initiative, I think, for a number of reasons, is not really a good thing for the citizens of Ohio. And I have taken it upon myself to try to educate as many people as I possibly can about the issues and the facts before November 3rd.
Well, there is a number of things that people have shared, and certainly there's been millions and millions of dollars put into the campaign to get this issue approved. I mean, it's how many million?
Roughly $36 million is what this group, who call themselves Responsible Ohio, which you may or may not agree with that name, but they've spent about $36 million to date to pass this ballot initiative in the state of Ohio to amend our state constitution, which is just a remarkable thing to me.
Yeah, when you think about a monopoly, and that's what it is on groups that have already been selected.
It is.
They're behind this. Certainly, a lot of it, if not most of it, is probably money oriented. I mean, it's to bring money into a certain group of people's pockets. I don't think that's really disputable at this point. Well, what about some of the things that they're saying about the good things that marijuana will bring into the community?
Yeah, and they have done a very skillful job in advertising the pros of this initiative. And certainly with that $36 million, they've spent a lot of money on television and print media. I see videos on Facebook every day. I see lots of print media, and I certainly see television commercials strategically placed here. And unfortunately, I think they make a lot of wild accusations and claims in these videos that aren't true, but they are skillful in that they tug at our heartstrings. I mean, we're an empathetic society, Sheriff. We care about each other. I think that's one of the things that really is most wonderful about the United States. So when we see people who are suffering from debilitating illnesses or life-threatening diseases such as cancer or AIDS or epilepsy, or we see children, toddlers, who suffer through seizures and epilepsy, you know, as a society, I think we all want to help those children and those people not suffer anymore. So they very skillfully have used that. I mean, marijuana legalization, Sheriff's been a subject that's been around since the 70s. I know in your long law enforcement career, you may remember groups like NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, who year after year after year tried to push initiatives to have marijuana legalized across the country. And those issues were very resoundingly defeated over and over again. And then we saw in the mid-90s, the marijuana lobby very skillfully decided to take a different tact, and that tact was to use marijuana as medicine or claim medicinal purpose or value to that drug. And since that time, we've seen this evolution of these initiatives across the United States that have been successful because they know that we're a caring society.
Well, you know, it's interesting because as I think back during my youth, certainly one of the things that the tobacco industry did was some of the same tactics that we're seeing today, where they talked about, they had doctors that would do the commercials for the cigarette companies. You would have the doctor on there saying, you know, it's good for you and those kind of things, and building that market. And certainly a lot of this is going to be directed towards the youth.
Sure. Big Tobacco came out in the 50s and 60s and admitted that they had to direct that product towards the youth, that they wanted that sustained consumer. And that's exactly right. When science started to come out against Big Tobacco hired doctors and had them, they were prominent in their advertisements that tobacco was good for you. You saw ad after ad after that in the 50s and 60s. And certainly now we know that that's not the case.
So what are some of the things that you know about marijuana as far as the adverse impact it has on a person, as far as the addictive qualities of it, the tragedies as far as we've seen?
Sure. Marijuana is a very addictive substance, Sheriff. In adults, 1 in 11 people that use marijuana are going to become addicted to it. And that's essentially the same addiction rate as alcohol. When we see marijuana used by juveniles and teenagers, that addiction rate goes to 1 in 6, which is similar to cocaine. So we know that there's a direct correlation between the use of this drug, its addictive properties. There have been many studies across the world documenting direct links between marijuana use and mental illness. Schizophrenia, for example. In studies, we've seen that people who suffer from schizophrenia, 90% of those people used marijuana prior to being diagnosed with schizophrenia. So we've seen those direct issues related to the use of marijuana. You know, the reality is THC, which is the psychoactive drug in marijuana, it's the thing in marijuana that causes that intoxicating effect. That's the drug, and that's what this issue 3, is really about. It's about providing marijuana to people who want to smoke marijuana, and there are not to be any implied legal ramifications as a result of that. You know, issue 3 has gone forward, and you see this a lot in their advertisements, that law enforcement, we have locked up thousands and thousands of people across the state of Ohio for possessing marijuana. And that's just simply not true. It's a lie. Sheriff, in 28 years, I've never arrested one single person for possessing a user amount of marijuana or a joint. Not one. And you and I spoke before the show, and you've been in law enforcement a long time. You never have either. It's just not true. If we look at the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, their statistics tell the truth.
Well, today, small amounts of marijuana is treated as a citation.
It really is. It's a minor misdemeanor.
You get a citation.
Up to a half pound of marijuana. It's a misdemeanor.
Yeah, and to think that they're saying that the prisons are overclogged with these people that have been marijuana users is just absolutely fabricated.
It is fabricated. Let's just debunk it right now. I can tell your viewers, less than 1% of the people in prison today in the state of Ohio are there because of marijuana-related issues. And the ones that are in prison as related to marijuana are there for trafficking in this drug. And I'll just paint you a little scenario, because this is typically what we see happening. I may arrest a person, or my task force arrests someone for selling 50 or 25 or 100 pounds of marijuana. That's a substantial amount of marijuana. And as they move through that criminal justice system, oftentimes we'll see those cases plea bargain to lesser offenses. And possession is a lesser offense in a trafficking case. So we have someone who's now incarcerated for possession when they possessed and were intending to sell 50 pounds of marijuana. So in the state of Ohio, that less than 1%, it's 42 people, folks. It's 42 people. It's not the thousands of people that Responsible Ohio claims in their ads. So it's just an outright fabrication. I just one other point to that. You know, we've seen a retired police captain brought forward by Responsible Ohio, who's a paid spokesperson for Responsible Ohio. I'm here freely and doing this on my time. But Responsible Ohio claims that we spend $100 million a year in marijuana prohibition across the state of Ohio. I would really ask Responsible Ohio to bring those numbers forward and show us where we're spending that $100 million, because I can tell you that my task force is one of 39 drug task forces across the state. And those 39 drug task forces combined, Sheriff, they share about $5 million annually to combat drugs. Now, that's not solely marijuana, that's all drugs. Heroin, cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, you name it. There's a pot of about $5 million that we all share in to fight drugs, including marijuana.
We are coming up at the end of the program. We've got a lot to discuss.
Yes, sir.
We really do. So I just ask that our viewers and listeners join us next week. I mean, this is a very informative, it's a very important topic. This is going to affect the youth. This is going to affect the number of fatalities we have by cars. This is going to have a very adverse impact on our society in Ohio if this goes through. I'm appreciative of you taking your own time out to come in and talk about issue 3 coming up. I do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners. We've had with us Commander Dennis Lowe, the head of the Major Crimes Unit. He will be back next week to talk more about issue 3 coming up November 3rd on the ballot. The clock on the wall says we're out of time. Until next week, same time, same place. God bless, buckle up, and we'll see you right here next week.
In 1929 in Chicago, a gentleman by the name of Marion Wade, a former minor league baseball player, started the company. It was just a moth-proofing company then. In 1952, it expanded to carpet cleaning and pioneered what is now called outsourcing. And the Sidwells wanted a community that had a lot of churches, had a lot of soccer opportunities where kids love soccer, and a good Parks and Rec department, so they chose Lancaster. And so in 1980, they moved the franchise here in Lancaster to 6th Avenue. But then in 2002, Todd George, current owner, purchased the franchise from them. And in 2004, he bought a building that's on Mulberry Street, and that's where the franchise is located currently. I'm Jay Johnson, General Manager of Service Master Clean by Todd George. where we guarantee if it's not done right the first time, we'll do it again.
Service Master Clean by Todd George, 740-687-1077, 740-687-1077.